Hello everyone, my name is Max and welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest match preview. Yes, we are back with another match preview and it is a doozy, talking about our upcoming away fixture at Craven Cottage against recently promoted and possible champions of the Championship, Fulham. And I've got to say, biggest game left of the season, and with there being so few points between the teams fighting for that automatic promotion place, it's definitely going to be a tight one. Of course, before we do that, we've got some admin to get out of the way. Firstly, huge congratulations to Brennan Johnson, the Nottingham Forest Academy product, recently awarded as Young Player of the Year in the Championship this season. Very richly deserved. He's been probably one of the best players in the Championship, not just young players, but full stop best players in the Championship this season. And of course, Joe Worrell, Ryan Yates and Jed Spence making it into the Team of the Year for the Championship this season. Massive congrats to them. And of course, the women's side who picked up the National League plate over the weekend, a really big achievement. It's good to see both the men's and the women's side doing such a good job in recent weeks. Of course, before we get into talking about that Fulham match, we're going to spend some time talking about the Peterborough United match, so I will, as always, leave that time code on the screen so you can skip forward and we can talk about that Fulham game. But to start with, let's talk about that Peterborough game, that 1-0 win that has essentially wrapped up our place in the playoffs come the end of this season. And of course, if you're new around here, don't forget to drop us a like down there and subscribe to the channel whilst you're down there as well. It'd be greatly appreciated. Getting very close to 500 subscribers. Hopefully we can hit that by the end of the season and head into the next season with as many people following the channel as possible. And of course, let me know as well what you want to see me do in the sort of time period between the end of this season and the beginning of next season. What kind of videos do you want to see me do? Obviously, let me know in the comment section down below. Without any further ado, let's talk about that Peterborough United win. And I've got to say, it was a really hard-fought result for the Reds on the day. A decent performance put in, but at the end of the day, Peterborough did not make it easy for us. It was almost as if they were fighting for their lives in the Championship, and unfortunately that 1-0 loss for them did end their stint back in the second division. I mean, they fall back into League One at the first time of asking, but I've got to say, with the talent in their squad, they've got some decent players and a decent coach. I would like to see them bounce back at the first time of asking next season. Of course, the goal on the day came from Sam Surridge, a late first half strike, a really nice little cross put into the box by Brennan Johnson, grabbing his 10th assist in the league this season. And overall, the game was pretty evenly balanced, both teams taking 12 shots apiece. Forest just edging the possession, I believe 53% to 47. And on the day, really given a lot to think about. Peterborough were well at it, they were well up for it, and unfortunately did lose the game, which saw them relegated in the end. According to Who Scored, the best player on the day was Joe Worrell, but he's had a lot of plaudits recently, obviously made into the Team of the Year this week. So I want to talk a bit more about the goal scorer, Sam Surridge, for my money, the man of the match on the day. He took 3 shots on the day, the most in the entire Forest squad, and in fact the most of any player on the day. Completed a dribble and completed 100% of his 13 passes he attempted throughout the course of the match. And with Keenan Davis and Lewis grabbing out for the rest of the season, his role in that squad is going to become very, very important for the Reds. And I've got to say, he has stepped up to the plate massively. Wasn't a massive fan of the signing in January, but I've got to say, he is paying that money back and then some, and making Stoke look a bit silly for selling him. But with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about our upcoming game tomorrow night at the time of recording, probably today at the time you are seeing this, against Fulham, a team already promoted back to the Premier League. They are continuing that weird yo-yo sort of transition they are doing at the moment. I've got to say though, probably best placed at the moment to maintain their league position next season. A big part of that success for Fulham this season has been their top goal scorer, Alexander Mitrovic, 41 goals this season in the league alone and 7 assists throughout the course of the season, really being the main contributor in that team. He's already smashed the 40 goal mark. He's already smashed as well the record set by Ivan Toney last season for a single goal scoring campaign in the Championship, and he'll probably only get about 5 goals next season in the Premier League, if we're being honest. I think he's found his level in the Championship. He's clearly too good for the league, but I don't quite think he's the mustard for the Premier League. I could be proven wrong, and I certainly back Marco Silva to get the best out of him in the Premier League next season. I really, throughout their squad, it is a story of really good top young talent like Fabio Carvalho, as well as players with buckets of experience in the Premier League and in the Championship. And like I said earlier, I feel like under Marco Silva, this team is really best placed more so in recent years, to maintain their Premier League position next season. Whether it happens or not, we will see, but it's definitely going to be tight. But with that little prologue out of the way, let's get talking a bit about Fulham this season, what makes them the best side for my money in the Championship this season. And I've got to say, diving into their stats, wow, they are pretty good. Fulham, as we've seen, have walked the Championship this season. They haven't really broken a sweat throughout the course of the season, scoring 99 goals over the course of this season. And if you look at the stats, if you look at the sort of easily available stats, Fulham are, if not top of every stat, they're in the top 3 usually. Fulham are, of course, the great entertainers of the Championship this season, having scored 99 goals over the course of this Championship campaign and generating 16 shots per match, the most of any team in the Championship this season. And it really goes to show how good they are. To give you a bit of context, Forest and Bournemouth are the 2 second highest scoring teams in the Championship this season and have just 66 goals each, or 33 or a third less goals than Fulham. They have been incredible in front of goal. And obviously, Mitrovic's been a big part of that. The thing is, though, we expected this. We knew Fulham were really good in front of goal, but actually defensively, they have been really, really good. A byproduct of these really expansive and highly prolific teams is usually the defence is sacrificed. Fulham are not like that. They are a very solid defensive unit, Toshin Adebayo being a really good example of that. And they've conceded just 38 goals over the course of this season, 3rd in the Championship behind ourselves, Nottingham Forest, and Bournemouth in first. And there's only a couple of goals between those sides. And they also concede the least shots per match at just 8 per 90 minutes. And they also concede the least shots on target per match at just 3. So not just are they going to probably outscore you, you're going to find it pretty hard to get chances against them, and those being high quality chances as well. And normally as well, I also speak about how the goalkeeper is doing this season and give them their own little breakdown, but you can't even really pick any holes there. Marek Rodak has been fantastic for Fulham this season. We have always said that average save percentage in the Championship has been about 69-70% this season, and usually is. Rodak's got 74%. It's not amazing, it's not Bryce Samba or Lee Nichols numbers, but it's definitely up there in the upper echelons of Championship goalkeepers, and that's from his 30 league games he's played. He's also kept 13 clean sheets this season, keeping him well within the top 3rd of teams in the Championship this season. And according to who scored their best player this season, pretty obviously has been Alexander Mitrovic. As I mentioned earlier, 41 goals and 7 assists over the course of this season. He leads not just the Fulham squad, but the entire Championship for shots per match, and even generates a chance for his teammate per match, which is fantastic to see a player not just really ruthless in front of goal, but it's actually got a bit of a creative streak in him. In fact, the only real nugget I could find on how Fulham have been weak this season is the fact that they've conceded the 2nd most goals from counter-attacks this season, and I feel like that's fairly obvious. Fulham are a team that have close to 60% possession in their matches. Counter-attacks are probably the best way in which you're going to be attacking them, and I mainly say that because I know Forest, over the course of the season, we've been pretty good from counter-attacking situations, or certainly we have the pace and directness in our forward players to really damage teams on the transition, and I feel like that's probably going to be the best way in which we can attack them, and probably a good way to transition to what to expect from Fulham on the day in terms of tactics. So let's swing into that. So Fulham's shape this season is pretty distinctive. It's sort of a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 hybrid. They're very much flexible and pretty fluid in the way in which they can line up. And the main aspect of that is the fact that they build out from the back with a really solid ball-playing defence and a really solid midfield in which they have a plethora of options in there. Harrison Reed, Tom Kearney, Niskins Cabano, just really solid Championship level midfielders in there, and 5 or 6 of them in that position. That 4 at the back is extremely confident on the ball, helps them build attacks, helps them construct real good sort of possession periods of play, and those fullbacks especially can push really aggressively. They can get high, they can get wide, and really add numbers in the final third. We've talked about that sort of break up of the pitch, that wide area. Those fullbacks are pretty dominant in those areas, much like a Forest team. And those wide areas are really, really important, not just for sort of constructing play, but also for generating chances. They are one of the most efficient teams in the Championship, not just to get quality of opportunities, but also get a high quantity of crossing opportunities. That they lead the Championship in chances created from crossing opportunities, and also have one of the best crossing efficiencies in the Championship, meaning when they do use that, they're usually better than not. And then of course you've got up front the championship specialist Alexander Mitrovic. Obviously, with him up front, you're going to be bagging goals, and a big way in which they play, it definitely leans into his ability in the air, obviously getting them crossed into the box. You can see why they play in that way. However, I do want to spend some time talking about what's currently the gem in the crown of that Fulham side, the man currently linked, I don't know if a deal's been agreed, but linked definitely very heavily to a move to Liverpool, that being Fabio Carvalho, who's been really, really good for Fulham this season. Not quite Jed Spence or Brennan Johnson levels, if you know what I mean, but definitely a player to watch. Over the course of this season, he has registered 9 goals and 7 assists in the Championship. He is 3rd in the Fulham squad for the amount of shots taken per match, and also 2nd in the squad for chances created per match. Not just a real threat at creating chances, but a real goal threat as well. And he's very aggressive. He's predominantly a number 10, but can, I think, play out on the left. I'm pretty sure he is very much able to push up alongside the front line. He can help lead the press alongside Mitrovic in a defensive state, and overall looks like a really good modern number 10, which is a real sort of gap zone for a lot of teams in the Premier League, and I think he'll really flourish at Liverpool. Obviously, as you'd expect, everything creatively will probably go through him over the course of the 90 minutes, so I definitely think it's going to be a man-marking job. I think Ryan Yates might be up for that job, just leaving a couple of fouls on him, leaving a couple of little niggly fouls on him over the course of the 90 minutes, and just making sure he doesn't impact the game too much. But what strikes me the most about Fulham this season is the fact that they are not just a team comfortable holding on to possession, holding on to chances and generating high volumes of chances. They are, if not more so, really deadly on the transition. They're so effective, so efficient at creating high quality opportunities from turnovers. They've got high, quick, dynamic wingers down the right and the left, and obviously Mitrovic, one of the most deadly finishing strikers in the Championship. Not just in this season, really in the last decade or so, I would say. And they sort of complement that with the fact that they can go in a more possession-heavy side. They average around 60% possession, which I believe is most in the Championship. They've taken the 2nd most passes in the Championship behind only Swansea. They are a team who are very adept at playing direct, but can also hold onto the ball, and that's what's most dangerous about them, I would say. Overall, Forest need to make sure that Fulham don't set the tempo in this match, because if that happens, you might as well write off the 90 minutes. They are going to sit on the ball, they'll sit with possession, they'll pass it around, and eventually they'll tie you down and create opportunities. And I think it's going to be really important that we have that tempo set in and force them to defend a little bit, because they could be left exposed. They get them fullbacks high and wide up the pitch. There could be areas in and behind them for Brennan and Zinkernagel and Spence to attack down. I also think the fullbacks, Jed Spence and probably Jack Colback on the day, are going to be essential to the way that we are able to defend them. I think their crossing could potentially be our Achilles heel in the match. We are, or at least I have spoken in the past about how I don't quite think Joe Worrell's quite at it aerially. I think he can be left exposed, particularly on the transition. In general, I just think the fullbacks, or wing-backs I should say, should maybe just drop back a little bit more, maybe play a little bit more conservative and just offer us a little bit more defensive coverage than sometimes they like to do. Overall, Fulham are playing Premier League football next season, whether they are the champions or not. They're already promoted. They are by far the best team in this division, and I would say by a country mile that is, and are going to cause us some serious problems. Realistically, I think this is probably going to be a loss for us. I think it's going to be the game where we slip up and probably lose our chance at automatic promotion this season. That's not to say we're not going to get in the playoffs. We're basically there. We've just got to, I think, avoid defeat by a hefty amount in this game. I just don't think we've quite got enough quality to get ourselves over the line and beat Fulham and eventually get that automatic promotion place. So realistically, I think it's going to be a 2-1 away loss. But in my heart, I think a draw would be a really positive result and would keep pace with Bournemouth heading into the final few games of the season. Of course, as always, let me know in the comment section down below what you think the score predictions are going to be for this game and who you think the man of the match on the day will be. Like I said, I think it's going to be a 2-1 loss for the Reds on the day. I do think we're going to struggle against what is a very potent and very aggressive Fulham side. I think Mitrovic will probably bag a couple. I wouldn't be surprised to see Carvalho start, but I really hope we give ourselves a good showing and don't get battered, so we've got at least a little bit of something to take into the playoffs coming to the end of this season. Like I say, answers in the comments below and man of the match predictions. And of course, If you're new around here, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe whilst you are down there. It'd be greatly appreciated. I will be back at the weekend. I believe it's Swansea coming up next. So hopefully we can get back to winning ways should we not pick up a win here against Fulham. With that being said though, enjoy the game, Reds. I will catch you later.